Happening this week at South by Southwest, an Austin man whose family has lived in and around the city for over 200 years is sharing his history with hundreds of people, some who live in Austin and others who are visiting from out of town. And Dr. Javier Wallace, a University of Texas grad, takes a deep dive into Austin history with Black Austin Tours, and he's been identified as one of the best tour guides in the world by Travel and Leisure. He joins us this afternoon. Dr. Wallace, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Jennifer. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so first of all, we know that the mission of this is to really honor your ancestors, and you said to give them the humanity that they didn't get while they were here. Walk us through the vision of when you created this a few years ago.
Yeah, of course. Coming out of UT as a grad student and looking for ways to generate a little income and then also tell the stories of my ancestors, learning so many great things in school, but then also with my family, I really just wanted to find an avenue to start talking about them and telling our stories to anybody who was listening. So walking tours, I really just started walking and talking and really honoring who they were and who we are as descendants of them.
Okay, and let's delve into those walking tours. We're looking at some video now of East Austin, and so that's one of the places that you do a tour at, as well as downtown Austin. What are some of the key places that you highlight that people who go on your tour, they're surprised by? Because I know people from Austin, people who aren't from Austin, they go on your tours, and many people who've lived here for years, they see what you show and they're surprised.
Yes, I think one of the main points that people really are surprised and shocked is the state capitol building right downtown, as it's the most visited site in the city. A lot of people are shocked to find out how much Black people participated even in the convict leasing system to erect that building, because that's not something that's often told. And then I think another powerful story and site that people are connected to is the George Washington Carver Library, and how that went from being called the colored branch to the George Washington Carver branch. And the way I like people to think about that is how a community wanted to put a name on the building instead of it just being called the colored building, but something that their young people could look up to in that figure.
Okay, and then looking at the Colorado River, that is another key aspect of Black Austin Tours. So let's talk about that.
Of course, you know, a lot of people think of Lady Bird Lake or Town Lake, depending on how long you lived in Austin, and forget that that's actually a river, the Colorado River, which has run in this area for a long time. And so on that tour, we talk about the role of enslavement and the way rivers and waterways played in moving people into this space, and because it filters into Barton Springs and Zilker Park. And a lot of people don't know that that place was segregated racially, and it also is a place where Black people, young people like A.Z. Taylor Morton, Gene Cable, where they pushed back and they hosted swim-ins and they desegregated that springs. And so the Colorado River, it allows us to tell those stories in a fun and active way, and something that so many people do in Austin or come to Austin to do, but don't think about it that way.
Okay, and so you're celebrating your history, your family's history through Black Austin Tours. But lastly, you also have kind of a global vision with Afro Latinx tours and just really exposing people to that. And that's a very layered history as well.
Of course. Well, my dad is from Panama in Central America. He came to Austin in the 1970s to go to Houston-Tillotson College, now Houston-Tillotson University, and a lot of his siblings came too. And so I lived in Panama, and that's where actually Black Austin Tour originates, because we started Afro-Latino travel, now Afro-Latinx travel. And so in those spaces, we also think about the history of Black folks in Latin America and highlight our contributions, our experiences in very similar ways. And many times, in many of these places, a lot of people don't know that there's a large African presence and contribution. And so Afro-Latino travel allows us to tell those stories in other ways that they might not be told.
Okay, Dr. Wallace, thanks so much. And we'll have more information about Black Austin Tours on our website at kxan.com.